Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're digging into something that is absolutely crucial for every family's future, but it's a conversation that often starts way, way too late. I'm talking about financial literacy and why it needs to begin when your kids are still tiny. Okay, let's just start with this because it's funny, but it also kind of hits home, right? To a kid, a debit card or a phone tap looks like pure magic. Poof, free money appears. And this magic money idea, it's often the very first step towards some not-so-great financial habits down the road. And this isn't just a one-off cute kid story. A 2021 survey uncovered something pretty startling. A whopping 57% of adults said their parents never taught them about money. Think about that. That's more than half of us who are basically left to figure out one of life's most essential skills all on our own.
Now, look, this isn't about blaming our parents. For so many of them, the reason they didn't teach us about money is simple. Nobody ever taught them. It's this cycle of silence that just gets passed from one generation to the next, leaving kids unprepared for the real world.
And this is why starting early is so incredibly important. Research shows that our fundamental financial habits, how we think about spending, about saving, about waiting for things we want, can be set by the age of 7. 7! By second grade, their whole financial blueprint is already being drawn. And we can't just assume schools are going to pick up the slack here. Less than half of all U.S. states even require a personal finance class to graduate high school. And honestly, by that point, for a lot of kids, it's just too late. That impulse to get what you want right now is already a deeply ingrained habit. So we know age 7 is a huge year for these money habits. But what if I told you that the learning process kicks in even earlier than that? The latest science on brain development might just change how you think about when to start these conversations. Believe it or not, learning starts before we're even born. Studies have shown that newborns actually recognize stories and songs they heard in the womb. Now, obviously, we're not talking about teaching a fetus about the S&P 500. The point is to realize that from day 0, a child's brain is this incredible little sponge, just soaking up patterns and information from the world around them. So, if their brains are these powerful learning machines from the get-go, what's the very first lesson we should teach them? It's not about stocks or bonds, it's something way more basic, the power of waiting. This is the whole idea of delayed gratification, which you've probably heard about from the famous marshmallow test. 1 marshmallow now, or 2 if you can just wait a few minutes. And the long-term results of that simple test are just staggering. Kids who learned to wait didn't just get an extra marshmallow. Decades later, they had better life outcomes across the board. Higher test scores, better health, they made more money, and even had stronger relationships. It's a true superpower. So how do you teach this superpower at home? Well, it starts with simple, consistent things. Use a clear jar for savings so they can literally see their progress toward a goal. Stick to a hard things first rule, like finishing a chore before getting a prize. And, this one is tough, but try not to give in to the checkout aisle tantrums. Most importantly, they see everything you do. Your patience becomes their blueprint. Once your child gets the hang of saving, the next lesson is huge. Teaching them how to make their money work for them. This quote from a parent just perfectly captures the regret of learning that lesson too late. You can feel the frustration of all that lost time. This is such a critical distinction. A savings account is great for short-term goals, for emergencies. It's safe. But for the long haul, the interest it earns often doesn't even keep up with inflation. That means, crazy as it sounds, your money is actually losing its buying power over time. Okay, let's actually look at a picture of this. This chart shows what can happen over 18 years. On the left, that's money sitting in a typical savings account. Pretty flat, right? On the right, that's the same amount of money but invested in a simple index fund, which is basically just owning tiny pieces of lots of different companies. The difference is just, wow, that is the magic of long-term growth. And that brings us to the most valuable asset any child has. And it's not money, it's time. Having an 18-year runway lets them ride out the market's ups and downs and really harness the power of growth. For a kid, time is a more powerful tool for building wealth than any amount of cash. So the opportunity is massive, and the clock is ticking. But let's be real, the big question is, how in the world are you supposed to explain index funds and compounding growth to a preschooler? The jargon alone can be totally intimidating for any of us. The good news is you really don't have to be a financial expert. The key is to just meet them where they are. You turn it into a story, you make it a game, you keep it simple. You don't talk about equity, you talk about helping your favorite pizza place buy a new oven so they can make more yummy pizza for everyone. And that is the whole point. Giving your child the gift of financial literacy is one of the most powerful things you can do for their future. An early start is their single greatest advantage. So if you're a parent or an educator looking for that perfect first step to start this journey with your 3 to 6-year-old, the link on your screen leads to a storybook made for exactly that. It transforms the basic concept of investing into an adventure, giving them a real head start on a lifetime of financial well-being.